On Wednesday, the Netherlands went back to the ballot box less than 2 years after the previous election in 2023. This was sparked by the collapse of its right-wing government in June, when the hard-right Party for Freedom, or PVV, quit the ruling coalition following a row over migration policy. In an unexpected twist though, on Thursday morning, with 98% of the votes counted, the results showed the centrist Democrat 66 surging to finish neck and neck with the PVV, which lost a third of their seats, while the centre-right New Social Contract, or NSC, which was previously a member of the governing coalition, lost every single one of its 20 seats. So in this video, we'll explain the political background, the recent Dutch election results, and what the country's next government might look like. Never miss an episode and always feel in the loop by subscribing and ringing the bell. First though, let's explain the political context. Back in November 2023, the Netherlands general election was won by Geert Wilders' PVV, an anti-immigration party usually described by the press as far-right, which upset the status quo of Dutch politics by becoming the largest party in parliament for the first time. However, the two next biggest right-wing parties, the centre-right People's Party, or VVD, and the New Social Contract, or NSC, ruled out joining a cabinet led by Wilders, both because of his harsh migration policies and anti-Islam stance, and because they weren't confident that they could work with him in government anyway. So in order to get coalition talks back on track, Wilders reluctantly agreed not to be Prime Minister, and to instead move forward with a PVV minority government with an extra parliamentary cabinet, i.e. a cabinet made up of individuals from both within and outside of politics, with none of the coalition party leaders taking up ministerial posts. Then in May 2024, four right-leaning parties, the hard-right PVV, centre-right VVD and NSC, which dropped their opposition after Wilders' compromise, and the conservative agrarian Farmer Citizen Movement, or BBB, struck a deal and published their coalition agreement, forming what was generally seen to be the most right-wing government in modern Dutch history. In July 2024, the new cabinet was officially sworn in, with Dick Schoof, a career civil servant and political outsider, appointed as Prime Minister. However, the coalition soon ran into disagreements over the budget and immigration, and collapsed after less than a year this June, when Wilders' PVV quit following a row over migration policy, a move which Prime Minister Schoof called irresponsible and unnecessary. As such, a fresh election was called for October, and in the meantime, another party, the NSC, also quit the coalition after the other parties failed to adopt harsher measures against Israel following a UN-backed report which confirmed widespread famine in Gaza. Ahead of the elections, the final Ipsos INO polls showed the PVV in the lead, the left-wing Green Left Labour Alliance in second, and two liberal centre parties, the Democrat 66 and Christian Democratic Appeal, or CDA, close together in third and fourth. Meanwhile, it suggested notable drops in support for all three of the other outgoing coalition parties, the VVD, NSC and BBB, which have seemingly been hurt by their affiliation with the PVV in government. However, the actual results were pretty surprising. By Thursday morning, the results showed a shock surge for the centrist D66, with 26 seats. Wilders' PVV also on 26 seats, the centre-right VVD in third with 22 seats, the Green Left Labour Alliance in fourth with 20 seats, and the centre-right CDA in fifth with 18. Meanwhile, the other two outgoing coalition parties suffered heavy losses, with the BBB going from 7 seats to 4 and the NSC losing all of its 20 seats. Essentially, these preliminary results suggest that the PVV's short stint in government damaged both the PVV and its right-wing coalition partners. During its time in power, the outgoing PVV coalition rapidly lost support and was seen by voters as one of the most ineffective in recent Dutch history. An Ipsos INO survey published in September found that just 29% of Dutch voters, the lowest figure since 2022, had confidence in national politics. And what's more, among those who voted for the PVV in 2023, only 14% still had confidence, a huge drop from 50% a year ago. This suggests a perception that the outgoing coalition failed to deliver on its key promises, namely introducing Europe's most hardline immigration policy and tackling a dire housing shortage. Given that pre-election surveys found housing, healthcare and immigration to be the top issues for voters in 2025, with nearly 2/3 wanting solutions on affordable housing, older voters caring most about healthcare, and right-wing voters caring most about immigration, it looks like the coalition has been punished for disappointing voters. The other notable takeaway though was the surge of moderate parties on both the right and left. The centrist D66 recorded its best results since it was founded in 1966, with D66 politician Jan Paternotte praising the party's leader for fighting what he called a fantastic campaign, adding he told a positive story and left all of the negativity of the past 2 years behind him. For context, the D66 is a socially liberal centrist party with strong support among civil servants and university graduates, and ran an optimistic campaign pledging to build 10 new cities to tackle the housing crisis. Another centrist party that did well was the centre-right CDA, who surged to win 18 seats, up from just 5 previously. This was largely down to the popularity of their leader, Henry Bontebal, who was regarded as the Netherlands' most popular party leader in the run-up to the election, and the most suitable candidate to be Prime Minister. However, the CDA still slightly underperformed some recent polling estimates, which predicted it to win up to 24 seats, and that drop-off was possibly due to backlash over comments made by Bontebal and then retracted earlier this month, implying that he supported religious schools' rights to reject gay students. Anyway, with these results, what might the next Dutch coalition actually look like? Well, even if the PVV scrapes a victory over D66 in terms of votes, it will almost certainly be kept out of government this time round, and Wilders has even admitted that he has little hopes of forming a government even if they do try. This is because both the Green Left Labour Alliance and CDA have pledged to block the PVV from any future coalition. As such, a centrist grand coalition comprising of the D66, Green Left Labour and CDA looks likely as a minority government, or if the VVD is included, as a majority government. While the VVD has previously ruled out entering into a government with the left, this position could well change during coalition talks. If this were to happen, 38-year-old D66 leader Rob Jetten would likely lead the administration, and could become the Netherlands' first openly gay prime minister. Ultimately, the strong performance of moderate parties overall suggests that the Dutch electorate would rather have stability and experience in government this time round. If you're interested in learning more about this topic, then there's plenty of other outlets reporting on it online, but what about everything you don't see? Or what about the sources you've grown to trust that are purposefully leaving out information? Thankfully, our sponsor this week, Ground News, are experts at lifting the veil on media bias. That's because Ground News is a website and app that gathers thousands of articles from across the world, expertly merging all different sides of political bias into one place, making it simple to see multiple perspectives on the same event. In addition, every single story comes with a detailed view of the bias distribution, factuality scores, and even specific ownership information. For example, if we take this story on the 27 parties standing in the Dutch election, you can see that 33 sources are reporting on it, and it's all featured here in one place. In fact, if we delve a bit deeper, we can even see that most of the coverage is coming from the centre. While it would normally be overwhelming to sift through thousands of articles to find out how they're being reported differently by either side, Ground News offers a handy bias comparison feature where you can do this with a click of a button. For instance, if we go back to the story on the 27 parties in the Dutch election, we can learn that the left and centre emphasise the abundance of options, while the right de-emphasises the number of choices. But that's not all. For stories that have been disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum or the other, their aptly named blind spot feed puts all of those into one place to help you stay grounded and informed. So if you want to begin questioning the narrative instead of just consuming it, you can get started today as we're partnering with Ground News to offer you 40% off their unlimited access Vantage plan. Just subscribe through the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen, and you'll be supporting an independent news platform working to make the media landscape more transparent.